Hey everyone, so in this video we're going to be starting a new project series for Castle Magic things. This is different from the normal tutorial series, right? So I'm not going to go as in depth as I usually do with all the Castle Magic stuff because I'm kind of assuming that at this point you guys know at least the basic function of all the housing items and all the Castle Magic spells. So the first thing I want to do in this video is go ahead and show you guys where to get Castle Magic, because I had a question about that in a previous video. And you'll see I was in Marleybone by the spiral door when you first come in, right? So we're going to go out to Reagent Square. We're going to go forward a bit past this fountain, kind of over towards Big Ben until we find a guy called Babbage Bassett, right? This guy right here. So he is the one that will sell us all of our housing Castle Magic items and all of our Castle Magic spells and stuff. Do note Castle Magic can get pretty expensive whenever you're buying a lot of stuff because every spell is 1,000 gold, right? And every housing item is either just under 1,000 or over 1,000, sometimes closer to 2,000 depending on what you're getting, right? Um, yeah, like those orb catchers can get expensive whenever you're trying to use a lot of them. So that's where he is. If you guys have any other questions about that sort of stuff, I'll go ahead and answer it in the comments or in another video, depending on how many people are asking. But that's that. So what is our project today? So today, we're going to be taking a look at how to make, well, I can show you kind of what we're going to be doing. Of course I can't right now. Um, but we're going to be showing you how to make mobs appear and disappear um, within your house in a similar fashion to what I've done at my house. So let's go back to my place and take a look at what I kind of mean by that. Right, so the first thing we want to do is get past this opening cutscene because it's not super important. We'll just go ahead and watch this again real quick. Sorry about the time for this. Um, but if we look to the right of here, right, so we've got an orb over there, we've got a catcher, but there's no mobs, okay? So then if I press this button, we have a cutscene that plays, and then our mobs appear along with the monster dome, and you'll notice the orb that was over there previously is now gone, right? So this right here, getting these mobs to appear and other various housing items is what we're going to be taking a look at today. So let's go back to the barn and take a look. So let's, first things first, we need to go over our kind of shopping list or what you're going to need for this project. So you need at least one magic start detector, right? If you're doing one mob, that's kind of the most of what you'll need. If not, you're going to need 2 reflectors if you're doing multiple mobs, and I'll kind of go over that later. You're going to need a mob or a pet, right? You can get your mobs, like this field guard from Wizard City, through Monstrology, or you can just straight up use your pet. Doesn't really matter. The next things we'll need are these breadcrumbs. You can buy these in the furniture section of the housing shop for 500 gold apiece for a pack of these, right? So it gives you like anywhere between, I think, 6 to 7, maybe 8 of these at one time. These are really useful. This is how I make the mobs go around in circles as if they're, being as if it's a normal like mob spawn in the base game. You're also going to need an activator of some sort, so we're going to use this button, kind of like I did in my house. And for the spells, you're going to need Make Invisible and Make Visible, right? So it's kind of a simpler project in terms of what you need, but we're going to go over how to do this with one mob and then how to go over this, do this with multiple mobs. So the first thing you're going to want to do is set up your pets, right? So we're going to use this mob. Your breadcrumbs if you want to make them move around. And and that's going to be the most important part. So to set your breadcrumb to assign a pet to it, you can use this button right here. Then you click on your pet or your mob, right? So we clicked on the field guard, and he's going to go straight to this, right? And then as you can see, these are all linked in this kind of triangular pattern. And that's because I clicked on my first breadcrumb. I pressed this button right here, so select next breadcrumb, right? So that links it to that. And then if I do it the same here, this links this one to that. If I do this, it links this one to that, right? So what we've got going on now, oh, I think I just accidentally unlinked them all, but okay, they're all back together. So what that does is it shows us kind of the path that our mob is going to take, right? So it's going to go from this one to this one to this one and back to this one. And it'll keep doing that forever, basically. So let's watch that in action, right? So you see he went to that first one. He's at the second one, so he turns around. He's at that one, so he turns around. And he's just going to keep kind of doing that as long as we have him here. Okay, so that's how you get your breadcrumbs set up. The next thing we're going to do is make sure he's invisible when he starts off. So this is important. We're making him invisible at the beginning because we want him to appear later on in our map, but we don't want to see him whenever he's not needed, right? So we're going to use our magic start detector. We're going to press make, or we're going to use this make invisible spell and target him. Okay, so whenever we load the area, and this is either by, going through into this area via the house, the magic spiral door, out of a monster dome, or out of a housing item that takes you out of the house, or teleporting in, all this other stuff, it will start, right? So he disappears, right? Because we don't need him right now. So, much like the bears, we're going to make him appear after we activate something. So after we use this activator, in this case our floor button, we're going to make that target visible, and we're going to target our field guard. So he starts out invisible, right? So whenever we come into the house, whenever no one else has been here, he's invisible. And then whenever we do something, whenever we activate this activator, it makes him visible. And he's going to keep following that. Even though he's invisible, he'll keep following those breadcrumbs. You see, we can't make him invisible again unless we start the map again, right? So in the example I had for my house, right, these would start invisible, you do the cutscene, and that cutscene included turning our mobs visible, and then you went into a monster dome, right? And if everyone goes in the monster dome, that means the house can reset completely. So whenever the first person comes out, the mobs are invisible again because we just loaded up the area. Okay, so I hope that made sense. So that's how to do it with one mob. Now, if we have multiple mobs or multiple pets, right? So we'll go ahead and put her here, Madam Zoe. We'll assign her to this breadcrumb. Okay, so she's going to follow this one and then keep following the same pattern. Okay. And then, instead of just using the start detector to do that, we're going to place down an activator or a magic reflector next to our magic start detector. And you want to keep these in most projects pretty close to each other, right? So that you don't confuse yourself on, like, if I have like this start detector over here, like, why is it activating this one, sort of thing, right? So you want to keep things close, just keep it clean, basically, is what we're trying to do here. So we're going to place down one detector next to our start detector, or one reflector next to our start detector, and one reflector next to our button, right? So for our reflector, we're going to do the same thing that we did with our start detector, but we're going to use two make invisible spells, both targeting our field guard and the other one targeting our eagle. Okay, and for the castle magic, we'll have it target our reflector. We'll go into our utility spells and say activate random reflector, right? So on start, both of them disappear. See? Cool. So we've got that, and then we're going to do basically the same thing with our other reflector. We're going to make that invisible, or we're going to make that visible. We're going to make that visible. Okay, and we're going to go into this. We're going to target our reflector and activate it whenever we activate this button. Okay, so they're both invisible. Okay, we do something to make them visible, or we activate a reflector of any kind, right? That activates our random reflector, or our normal reflector, and it makes them visible again. Okay, so that is the kind of basics of this. In the next video, I'll be going over how to do cutscenes and stuff. And then obviously you can mix those two together pretty easily, actually. That doesn't take a whole lot of effort to do after that. So yeah, I hope this kind of made sense. Again, this is just how to make it to where your mobs appear later on in your map rather than at the very beginning, right? So let's say we needed them then they're up. But yeah, I hope this made sense. I know this is a little more unstructured kind of than our last videos, but I hope this was enough to help y'all with this project. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. I'll answer them as quickly as possible. But yeah, what would you guys like to see next? By next I mean the video after next, because the next video we're going to be covering cutscenes and specifically how to kind of recreate my intro from that house that you saw in this video and my very first original video. So yeah, let me know in the comments what y'all want to see after the cutscenes, and I'll do what I can to kind of help y'all out. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.